All right. Wow, this is like my nth time recording, much less like doing a book. So let's do this. Uh, we're done with the cover. So backspace again. Backspace alternate shift, just to be more clear. These are all terms from well the keys in our keyboard, which all mean like something you've discarded, but now you're trying to um place again. So again, let's go through that phrase bit by bit. So backspace um, is the past you discarded and you're shying away from. That's another thing you might want to keep in mind is the term shy away or averting your eyes or trying to avoid, not necessarily destroy the past because we're not Kylo Ren here. Um, which I know is like a comment that will get people cleared up, so I won't tell you what happened there. But yeah, so backspace is that. Now alternate shift is referring to the different take. That's another way to put it. Of the characters. Um, so that's something you've never had the opportunity to explain is alternate shift here. Now there was also control shift, and control shift I would say was referring to the mind trying to take control of the character in question that has the mind. So that's why there's been such an obsession around like let's be blunt here, brunettes. So that's why it happened. Um, I would say in a way I'm not really sure because I'd have to review the control shift manuscript, but for this book, I've shied away from that, as you can tell. And backspace alternate shift is just a different way, different take on um of of visualizing the characters. Let's just say, because I can't speak words today apparently. Um, so that's it. Now we have the chapter titles, which are all very different and very specific in their meaning. Yes, this will be the reason, one of the reasons why I've decided to do an audiobook format sort of thing going down here. So when it comes to the first four chapters, except like the third chapter, which is still in the theme but in a different way. We're gonna explain that in a bit once we get there, I think. But for the sake of your brains, I would say, as well as mine. Don't worry, I'm still human. Chapter one, Ash and Ashley. Chapter two, Leo and Hazel. You can see the pattern that there's a parallel between the first character and the second character. But when it comes to this chapter here, chapter three, it's actually inverted, isn't it? Like you have the male and then the female, male and the female, female and then male. Whoops, that's different. So why is that? Well, it's because EXC is the one exerting dominance over Comet, not Comet exerting dominance over EXC, which is very telling in their relationship, don't you think? Well, once we get there at least, because some people they have read what happened in the first four chapters. Now, there are some alterations here and there, but for the sake of argument, we'll just say that the same relationship is kind of the same, like because it's the same relationship. So there you go. Now, chapter five is where things get interesting because first responder actually used to be in a control shift. First responders. So what happened? Did somebody die? I don't think so. But did somebody die? Somebody got missing in the between the first between the two responders because there were two responders in the first, in not the first, but the control shift. I mean, um, manuscript. So yeah, what's happened here? And then immediately we go into to the new stuff that I like so much. So we have a comma, which is a pun on coma, as you could of course tell because you've read the control shift manuscripts. I hope. Even then, we're gonna be walking through everything eventually. So yeah, so that's a pun on coma, which is the deep sleeps that the deep sleeps. That's not a thing. Deep sleep that some people experience. Um, and I would specify that this deep sleep is actually from a traumatic event, not necessarily anything physical or painful or anything like that, but a traumatic event for sure. Because once we get to the reason why I call this the coma chapter, um, as opposed to anything else, of course, like limbo, because limbo is a location that we'll actually be going through in this chapter, and yet it's called coma. So what does that tell you? That's a question, rhetorical question for you. And so chapter seven, Superlink. This is more ambiguous and more, let's just say, vague, but it's actually referring to Superlink and the link between super and hyper, which is very, very telling, you would say, because I've played a lot of Sonic games. So there's a lot of like super and hyper forms going down in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, especially. And that one game was so special to me that I decided to call it Superlink. So, and Hyperlink, of course, is the it's what the freaking this one. So you click on the thing and then it takes you right to where you want to go and probably where you don't want to go. But let's get we talk about hacks right now. Let's get that out of the way here. And yeah, so these three chapters here in times of four in times of four are supposed to be flashback chapters, but they're really not, I would say, because well, they're formatted as such, at least after the characters um like speak about their actual like feelings towards the story. Because as you can see, there's three freaking parts on this one. This one chapter name in terms of four, part one, part two, part three. Like wow, I never expected me to do like multi-section like or multi-level like chapter titles, but there you go. That's something I've decided to do, which is kind of a first for me. So wow, rebirth, and that's how you pronounce that. It's not reap earth, no, it's rebirth. As in uh like palingenesis rebirth. You see? So you must be wondering what palingenesis is. Sorry, I can't pronounce things. Um, it's the rebirth, like where you die and then you come back again. So resurrection, you know, revival. That's something else we've probably talked about in previous manuscripts. But um, now I always refer to the previous manuscripts because um, there's a reason for that. There's a very good reason for that. It's because again, like backspace, alternate shift, as opposed to backspace. I can even say escape shift, maybe, or just escape or something like that. Or you can see where I'm going with that. So that's why these are all interlinked, like backspace, even observers, because again we'd have the very 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 old character called Starlet, which you've probably never heard of before. Even the beta readers of now have never heard of Starlight before because I've discovered her just like the manuscripts. So that's something I've never gone through. At least not in this way. So that's rebirth. Um, upon on revival and all that stuff, but there's also reaping of the earth, which you can tell is happening in this chapter. Now, that's not a sexual metaphor at all. No, 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 we're not talking about that. What I'm trying to say here is the earth may have been a fake utopia all along. And yes, the the earth is going to be a utopia later on in the book. But is it really a utopia if what happens happens? Um, so that's a question on the nature of utopias and what kind of situations would unfold there with the well the finite and the infinite. I'll just say because I've listened to Jordan Peterson and his influence is probably apparent here. So yeah. Now a dame a dozen as opposed to a dime a dozen, which is very simple. So I want to go through that. Says gone. Oh boy. This chapter is where things actually get a bit interesting for my reputation. Siscon is actually upon on well what you can tell, and the actual like sister conning the protagonist into doing what she wants. So so that's freaking amazing. And then we go again back to the first four chapters. Ashley and Starlet, and then we have the milestone. Oh boy, the milestone is probably the reason why you're here for the book. Even if you haven't heard of the milestone, you will hear about it now. Like, like okay, let's just go. Let's just go with the milestone. The milestone is what the whole story has been building towards, even through observers. Um, I'm not even talking about the observers like public releases or anything like that. No, observers as a story, observers as even as a writing, was all leading towards something like this, the milestone. Um, which again is a pun on milestone, which is where you'd have not a literal milestone, but a pathway or the pathway or something like that. I'm not really sure what the milestone even is, but um, or even in the context of the story what it means. But uh, I would say, and this is a very big hint towards the story, which I'm going to point out now. So you might want to skip ahead, but I don't recommend it. Um, like once I do this, you might want to skip ahead or something. But for the sake of argument, we're going to just say that the milestone is love. Yes, this is love. Now, it takes like a physical form, which makes no sense, but um, I want to specify that at least there's a concept of love in there because once you see the milestone in the story in the very last like paragraph of the story, and yes, there's the last paragraph, um, might be wondering what it is, and it's not God, that's for sure. So, so yeah, because there's a religious connotation there that I don't want to get into. Now, the milestone instead being an object of at least the manifestation or representation of love makes a lot more sense once you go through the story. And even if you discard the milestone, even if you discard what it means, there's still a lot going on in this chapter. Like like I didn't expect me to go through this chapter be like, wow, that was amazing. And it makes a lot of sense again because, for example, Okay, for as an actual example, why would the Andromeda Galaxy collide with the Milky Way in the first place? That's a question. Um, you want to be saying that it moves on its own, which begs the question of does it have a consciousness? Which also begs the question if it does have a consciousness, why is it moving towards the Milky Way exactly, or specifically? That's what I was trying to say. And that's why I really love this chapter and why I really recommend you actually go through you actually go and ask me if you want the book, and I'm gonna probably deliver it to you anyway because I need more readers. But the freaking milestone chapter, oh boy, I love it so much. As opposed to all the other chapters, this one is my favorite, and and you can tell that I was listening to wow something. We're gonna get to it later when I was writing the chapter because it's so action packed, it's so character driven, it's everything you wanted from the book um, explained to you in the best way possible, I think. And I'm not bluffing. That's milestone right there. Freaking milestone. Enough about the milestone though. We can actually go through the first chapter, or at least the first scene, because I think we're gonna be out of time in a bit. So yeah, then just adjust myself a bit, and we can go. Now slash slash then another slash. If you zoom in, by the way, um, you can see the first slash here is without any like punctuation or whatever. And then you have the first dot. Then you have the first dot with like the exclamation, like signifying it's an exclamation point or whatever. This is just telling you that there's more oomph as you go along, which makes sense, I guess. So yeah, let's go back here. Yeah, okay. So it says the black planets with red rings, and by the way, the red rings are never explained, which is a mistake on my part. But yeah, I'm gonna end there. It's been like 20 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. The black planet with red rings is definitely once more by the loud cut, and never explore these red rings again. I don't think so, anyway. The poor red rings we've always wanted to see in like planets and stuff. And I even have like I think I have a photo I can show you um with this exact freaking concept drawn. But I think it's like cover art or something, but I don't think I'm gonna show it. Um, but yes, it's a really cool image. So I think I can probably send it in private in my private. Whoops, come on. My email here, which is where you can get the book. So yeah, so that's 20 minutes sort of, and that's when I'm gonna be signing off. Um, one more thing we can point out actually is uh, is this right here. Deafened once more by the loud cut, even though the planet has no ears to hear with. So that's a metaphor, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Um, so I hope you like this, because I need some comments, I think, and yeah, freaking Ash side. Um, yeah, yeah. See you. Let's go. Bye bye.